Ann Karrick, and I'm here with Norman Bryn, freelance makeup artist and I guess owner, president, founder of Classic Creature Craft. Did I get that right?
That is my company name.
That's a mouthful.
It is. I like the 3 C's.
I guess so. And is it based in the New York area?
I'm in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Okay.
Started in Los Angeles, came back here in the early 80s to join a union, and have remained pretty much tri-state area based ever since.
Okay. Are you from the tri-state area originally, or?
Yeah, actually,
yourself?
we came to Greenwich in 1969, my family.
Oh,
Before
okay.
that, we lived in Long Island.
Okay, so that's still tri-state. Come on. So now I understand that you've worked on all sorts of things, but to that, I guess you did a lot of work on All My Children and Saturday Night Live, which both people have heard of. You must have a long list of places where you've done makeup work.
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm a believer in getting yourself out to as many different places as possible. I never turn down the corporate industrial video. I never turn down fashion shoots. Get yourself out to as many different places as possible. Too many people think that mainstream movies are what they want as a makeup artist, but you should get out there and go to as many different venues, meet as many people, and do as much creative work as you can. Money is not the most important thing. It's who you meet and the creativity of the work you do.
Well, there's always networking involved.
Of
You
course.
don't never know who you're going to meet. If you're
Absolutely.
you could be doing a wedding party and meet somebody spectacular
Absolutely.
if you put yourself out there.
Well, I don't do weddings.
Well, I know.
I try not to work for Joe Public, but I mean, I met tremendous numbers of people at Saturday Night Live and All My Children.
Sure.
When essentially I was doing network almost exclusively for about 6 years and working pretty much 7 days a week during that. But after that, I went to Comedy Central and worked with Amy Poehler for 3 years, turning her from all kinds of beautiful women into all kinds of ugly creatures.
I was going to say, I can only imagine with Amy Poehler, yeah.
Absolutely, and that was a whole different ball game. And since then, I've gone on to major science fiction movies shot here in New York, like Cloverfield. But I also love the exotic indie. And what I like about them is that their budgets don't stretch to specialization. So you do everything. You do everything from the straight makeup to the beauty to the special effects.
Yeah.
And that's really the way I like it.
Because that way you're working on all of those at the same time as opposed to just one.
Yeah, I really like to key the job and handle it
Yeah.
all. And that's the beauty of the indies. They need everything you
Thing.
can give them.
Right. We need everything.
Everything.
You have.
And for a price.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you had to pick one, do you have one that's a favorite? Like the special effects versus like the regular kind of makeup, or?
I think Upright Citizens Brigade for Comedy Central was really a challenge because I had Amy and 4 other cast members of the UCB, and they averaged 4 characters each per episode, which meant that I would have 16 makeups for
Right.
them. And there were supporting players and some extras who also required exotic makeup. That was really 3 years of, I would say, makeup boot camp hell.
Right.
And the more I gave them, the more they asked for.
Sure.
They were wonderful that way.
Well, and I would think also anything that's live, like you were talking about Saturday Night Live also, where you're on a time limit. In addition to what you need to get done, it has to be done quickly because to get back out there.
That time limit could turn on a dime because you would have the dress rehearsal at 7:30 and a makeup on Phil Hartman, who I worked with for 3 years.
Right.
That might take, you might get 20 minutes during the 7:30 dress rehearsal. That dress rehearsal gets cut by at least an hour for the 11:30 show, and then the order of the sketches changes. So at 11 o'clock, you used to get what we call...
You can't even pre-plan.
No. And a makeup at 11:30 that you had 20 minutes for earlier, you might have 5 minutes to do. And it's like, oh God. And that's live television for you.
Yes. So for the dress rehearsal then for you is as important as it is for the actors.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
you have a lot of things you need to figure out how you're going to get this done in even less time for the next one.
And the location might change. The actor, because of the schedule of the 11:30 broadcast,
might not be in the
he might not make it back to the makeup room.
Like you may be chasing him down the hallway while you're trying to...
Literally working on him under the bleachers while the audience is unaware.
Right. Nice. Yeah, I can imagine how that is.
In the dark, no less.
Yeah. Now, you clearly have a lot of interesting stories from all the things you've worked on, and you have a book, which I'm holding. So is the interesting stories what led to this book that you put out for everyone?
The book is called Makeup and Misery, Adventures in the Soap Factory, and it is more or less about my 5 years at All My Children and at Saturday Night Live at the same time. But the book is written to incorporate all the interesting stories that I think every young makeup artist and every young actor should know about. It is really the story of New York production, where it was, where it's gone, where it's going in the future. and we expand into basically the death of what is the old television market and the birthing pains of the new one on the web.
On the web. And has it changed? I would assume makeup has changed a lot also with high definition.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
I mean, from video to digital to high definition.
Techniques,
I mean, there's got to be
materials we're using have changed.
And the lighting is different or better, probably.
It's gruesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember at All My Children when the HD began to come in, some of the older actresses, Susan Lucci, Julia Barr, and even older than that, they were horrified because soap lighting is bad to begin with.
Right.
It's all overhead lighting. It's not kind like film lighting is.
Yeah.
And suddenly you could see every wrinkle and imperfection. And if you use too much makeup to cover those
Makes it
imperfections,
worse, doesn't it?
you would see the surface of the makeup in HD. That's how revealing it is.
right. Were there some big changes when you went to HD, like that people would realize?
Well, they reluctantly had to surrender a lot of their old protective techniques, and you had to tell them, we can't do it this way anymore. And you
Give us a couple examples. What do you mean?
I mean, there were some actresses who, after you had finished with them, they would grab the concealer palette and start spackling under their eyes. I can still see shadows under my eyes. And it's like, you can't use that much anymore.
Right.
You're going to see it cake under the eyes because
Which
the
is
HD,
worse.
Which is worse because the HD picks up everything.
Yeah.
And of
you
course,
have dark circles, they think you're tired. If it's cake, they wonder what's wrong with
well,
you.
then it really falls into the natural crow's feet and the wrinkles around the
Yeah.
eyes. There are ways to put on makeup and there are ways not to put on makeup. And HD is in many ways a whole different ballgame.
Is HD closer to real life? In other words, like when you're like makeup that somebody would wear when you're going to see them face to face, or not really?
Well, color temperature is very important. Street cosmetics often don't work on television because the color temperature of street cosmetics for Joe Public are different from the color temperature that television cosmetics are manufactured to. It's a different standard.
Yeah.
And when we were working, for example, on videotape, people like Kelly Ripa at All My Children would want to throw on her favorite Clinique foundation. Well, that foundation turned orange upstairs on the set, even though it looked fine in the makeup room under fluorescent lights. But it wasn't the same upstairs. That's just one example I cite in the book and the ways that we had to combat that. And of course, the psychological problem of telling someone like Kelly, you can't use that foundation
anymore, right? Well, it sounds like the book would be an interesting read for a lot of people, even if they have nothing to do with the makeup industry. Any parting advice before we have to say goodbye?
Well, the book, if you want to purchase it, is available only online, exclusively at the website www.makeupandmisery.com.
Okay.
I mail out every book myself. It's all done through me. Parting advice, read the book, find out what you're up against, because that book is dreaded at makeup schools in New York because they don't want their students to know the inside political and factual information that I'm giving them, because it's bad for tuition. It discourages people from signing up by the droves to attend makeup school.
Are they at least telling them the same things?
No, not at all. That's what the book is about. The book fills the gap. What you need to know when you leave makeup school with your pretty little makeup kit, what you need to know about the unions, about the networks, how to get a job, how to keep a job.
So you're not saying don't go to the schools?
Not at all.
You're just saying, read this also.
I'm saying if you want the career, go and get it. But remember that there are things that a school is never going to teach you.
I think that's true probably with any school.
Perhaps.
Probably.
Perhaps.
Well, Norman, thank you
very
much.
Nice. Thank you for having me today.
And I might have to get one of these books.
I will autograph your copy.
Ooh, okay, thank you.